everybody. In this video I will be talking about my process of making games, and I would like to start off by saying that I am not a professional game developer. I don't have a lot of experience in it, and this is simply for people who are interested in my creations particularly, and people interested in learning about methods that other people are using to make games, especially beginners, because I am a beginner in game making. So the number one flaw in my process is how it begins, which is coming up with a vague idea to start with, and the problem is that it's not fully developed or written out, let alone fleshed out, until after I finish the game, because I kind of go along with my idea and flesh it out as I create the game. And I will say that the games I have made or am making happen to be in the programs Tyranno Builder and RPG Maker MV. So these are the only things I have experience with, and so when I talk about my process of making games, I will be talking in reference to these programs, particularly Tyranno Builder, because I have completed a game in that one, unlike RPG Maker, which I am still messing around with because it is very new to me. So, as I said, I like to start with a vague story idea, and what I like to do is begin the setting of the game by drawing some practice sprites and backgrounds, things that will be used as a base for the completed and final art. So I like to scribble a simple little background that has the same idea that I want the finished product to have, and what I do is plug those into the game, and I like to build the setting using what the game has to offer. In Tyranno Builder, I like to begin the dialogue, and I like to input the background as well as introduce the sprites when they are appropriate. And at this same time, when it comes to Tyranno Builder and visual novel making, I like to plan out the game in another program called Twine, specifically Twine 2.0, because that is literally a make your own adventure game type software to make it, and it makes plotting your visual novel so much easier because it gives you like a visual map to look at when you have your routes going on and your different options leading to different results. For anyone creating a visual novel, I would most definitely recommend creating everything in Twine first before plugging it into whatever program you're using to make the visual novel, be it Tyranno Builder, RPG Maker, or even RenP, or any other game maker. So Twine is very easy to use, but it involves some coding knowledge, but that's not quite what we're going into if we're just using it as the skeleton for our visual novel, which is what I do in my process of game making. I like to plot out my game using Twine, and then I really like to flesh out the dialogue as well as the options and endings when I'm plugging it all into the game maker that is Tyranno Builder or RPG Maker or RenP or even Visual Novel Maker, whatever you happen to be using, in my case Tyranno Builder. So somewhere along the lines of putting everything in the game, usually about halfway through, I begin the artwork that will be the final artwork, which is incredibly disorganized, and I would not recommend this process to anyone. That goes for almost everything I do when it comes to making my games. I would not recommend using my process because my thoughts and thought processes happen to be a little disorganized, and so working in a disorganized way is what fits for me. However, doing it in a more organized way is probably much easier for most people. It would probably be easier for myself, but it is so hard to accomplish for me For whatever reason it may be, or reasons, I just happen to be an impatient person with disorganized thoughts, so I end up working on a game in a random series of events. Now, once I have the final art finished, I plug that in where it needs to go, and then I continue writing the dialogue as well as the routes, and that's pretty much the entire process of making the game. When it comes to people playing the game to find errors for me, I, in my experience, have used my patrons from Patreon. I send them a download link to the game beta, and they play it for me, and they point out the errors that they spot, so I fix them, and I add a little touch-ups where they're needed based on the reviews I've gotten from my patrons. And with all of this, I create the first final version of the game, which I then post a download link to publicly or on itch.io, anywhere that will host an exe or zip file. And with this, I get more reviews from people who follow me or maybe don't and are looking for games. They play the game and they give me their input on maybe anything I have messed up or anything that could be helped, and I take that into account and I fix the errors that have been pointed out. And if there is any advice given, I keep it in mind for either a future game or for a future update of a game. All in all, that would be my personal process of creating a game, and in particular a visual novel, as that is the only type of game I have actually completed so far. I hope it was at least interesting to listen to, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Regardless, thank you for spending your time on listening to me ramble, and thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon.